Hey guys, SMZ here. We're back playing Raid Shadow Legends, and guys, I'm back with another edition of WTF Happened, this time for February 2025. This is a series in which we look at everything that's happened over the past month, the calendar month, and we look at each and every update in detail to jot it down in one place. I did a similar version for January 2025, which should be linked in the video. But with that said, let's jump in. So the first most important thing that happened, this was towards the start of the month, was the update 10.20 dropped on us, and with it, it brought a lot of changes. The biggest change that it brought was certainly the Hydra quick battles. Hydra quick battles is something that we have been asking for quite some time, and especially ever since they introduced the quick battles when it comes to the Demon Lord, which have been such a massive time saver, right? I can't access because I don't have the key right now, but it's a massive time saver. Clan boss used to take half an hour per difficulty, basically every single day, which was a lot of time spent in the game. And ever since that has happened, especially for end game accounts, it's a breeze. You do your clan boss runs, it takes barely a minute, and then you're constantly getting rewards every single day, and those are very good rewards. uh, Things like shards, books, and most importantly also potions. I never do potion keeps because clan boss is my potion keep, so that was a great change. Now they've also introduced Hydra quick battle. Now this update has been received with mixed feedback. So one great thing is, yes, obviously it's a quick battle. Hydra runs, even though they're once a week, they take a long time to do, and there is a lot of RNG, which brings us to the next point on how they implemented the feature. They introduced 5 quick battles in total for all difficulties. What that means is, if I do quick battle just once and I get the perfect key, I still have to do it 3 times, and I only have the flexibility to repeat it twice, which is not ideal considering in 1,000 turns of Hydra with all of the different buffs, debuffs, the Serpent's Will, and the Poison Clouds, things can go wrong. Sometimes you want to optimize for damage. Sometimes your team dies early. Let me do a quick Hydra battle. Maybe that can already show. So this is a great team. This heat team, if I manual it, it runs up to 650 million damage on Nightmare. I'll do a Hydra battle. Sometimes it happens that the team is not even able to get to 1,000 turns, and that wastes the key. So the community has been asking to add more battles than just the 5. So that has been one of the feedback received. They have not implemented this feature well, but it's a step in the right direction, and we should praise that. So yeah, as you saw, the battle stopped around 950 turns instead of 1,000, and that can happen. Even though it was a close to 1,000, it sometimes with very bad RNG it can stop way before, and that's something we do not want. I'm going to discard the result, but that's one of the features that was introduced. Another thing that was introduced was the super raids in campaign. This is something that nobody wanted, but everybody is happy to have at the same time. So this is a great feature in which you can run a super raid, do the campaign battle faster. So campaign is certainly still one of the best places to farm and rank up food champions, especially when it comes to early game and mid game players. You do campaign less and less as an end game player. As an end game player, I absolutely hate the monthly quest, which asks you to do campaign, I think 500 times, right? Yeah, this one. As an endgame player, I hate doing this campaign, this mission, because 500 times. At least it's reduced down to 250, right? And also for the daily battles. So daily battles, either you get 7 or 3 times on the boss or 7 times on any of the uh, locations or stages. And that, because it's an odd number, it's still it's still not ideal. So when it's 3 battles, you have to run it twice. When it's 7, as is the case today, I have to run it 4 times. I wish that either they do it 3 times, so triple super raids in a way, or they can do it that the number of battles that they have in the daily quest that can be changed to 2 or 6, something that's an even number. But nevertheless, that was a good change. Another change that they've added, again, this is a change which is for ghosts. It is for people who are going to be playing this game 5 years down the road, which is introducing even more slots into the clan shop. My clan is a pretty endgame clan. Many times we are ranking in the top 50, sometimes even top 20 in the world when it comes to CVC. And we have not been able to unlock even slot 13 yet. And they've added even more. And nobody nobody's gonna get to this point anytime soon. So that feels quite a little bit pointless. By the time we reach here, maybe they would have added 2 more slots. Who knows? So getting to this is very difficult. But once we do get there, maybe it's gonna be useful. They have added new relics that you can obtain over there. And those new relics, let's look at the relic index. And this is the clan group relics. Some of these relics are absolutely bonkers. This I am on the right one, right? Yeah, this is the clan group relics. Mythical relics having a chance to deal bonus damage when using default skills. Pretty good relic. And with mythical relics, you can put in 4 different gemstones. This one gives a 30% chance to get an extra turn. So it's twice the relentless set. Relentless, not twice, but relentless set is 18% and this is 30. So not exactly twice, but really good. But this is for when reviving allies or themselves. It can be pretty handy for a lot of revivers and supports in various areas of the game. Damage increase by 20% of the current turn meter, also pretty solid. Damage increase always is pretty nice. And especially for the first hits, you start off the battle with a very high turn meter to begin with. So this can be really nice. 10% in more damage, especially in the arena, and 5% against bosses is nothing to scoff at. This relic, Temporal Stagnator, it gives a 20% chance to remove, steal, or convert buffs or increase the skill's cooldown when landing a weak hit. Also, an interesting one in the arena when you're using nukers who are not void affinity, but also in things like the Chimera, for example. In several rotations, you face bad affinity matchup. It can come in handy. Then we have Inferno Sphere, which is increasing resistance by 2% for every 5% HP lost. Again, can come in handy, but I'm not ranking this super high. Volcanon's Grasp, this is probably for the champion Volcanon. It reflects 5% of damage absorbed by block damage or unkillable buffs back to the attacker, which is a great relic for unkillable teams, especially in the Demon Lord clan boss. There are also teams which use unkillable comms for the Iron Twins, and certainly you can also use something like that for the Phantom Shogun. So over there, this can be really nice. Then we have 2 rare relics, which most people are actually likely to get, but then again, as we saw with the slots, very difficult nevertheless. Increase the damage of every hit on their next attack by 3% of surplus heal while self-healing. Very specific. This is very specific. You can use it on niche champions. The one I can think of is that rare. I'm forgetting his name. The rare that is in the Orcs faction. What's his name? Orcs rare. What is your name? Hello. Rare. Ironclad. This guy. This guy could potentially use that because his passive inflicts damage whenever he gets a surplus heal. So that is one place where that relic can be useful. And then finally we have Black Shroud Fan, which receives 2% less damage from ally protection effects. Again, it's an okay relic. Most likely this relic is going to be used to feed other relics, basically, to get them to a higher level. But yeah, that's all the relics that were introduced as part of the clan relics. Again, to my first point, very difficult to get to that state in the first place. But if we do get there, then they can be actually pretty useful. The next thing that they added, which is still taking me some time to get used to, is this total stats window. So my default setting is I immediately go here because I'm used to it, but they've moved it. Why did they not have it there in the first place is something, don't ask me. But I'm still happy that they have moved it. It will take all of us some time, especially for people playing on PC, to not do this immediately, but it's a good change nevertheless on getting to the total stats immediately when clicking the information tab. Another very important thing that they added was in the Souls collection, you have the names of the champions now, names as well as the symbol of the faction that they belong to. Now, these faction symbols are difficult to guess. I've been playing this game for a very long time and still it's difficult to guess. I know that this, for example, looks like skinwalkers, this looks like the tree people, what's the Sylvan Watchers, but and the Shadowkin. Okay, maybe I do know some. But again, these symbols are difficult, but at least it's something for people who have gotten accustomed to these symbols. You will be able to figure them out if the name is not enough. Previously, it was just an image, and the rate that they release champions into the game, it's very high. So it's very difficult to keep up with all of the images of the champions, in addition to their names, in addition to their kits, and now with mythicals, it's 2 times the kit. So I'm happy that they introduced this name. In addition to that, let's look at this here. So other small changes that they introduced in as part of this patch were quality of life changes. This is something we've already talked about. There were a lot of AI fixes. So there have been issues with the Hydra AIF champions fighting the Hydra, and that's something they also addressed. Over here, they fixed immunity. Some champions who were supposed to be immune were not really immune. Some skills which were irresistible were landing it. Now immunity works as it should. And then there were 2 champions who were rebalanced. Ultan of the Shell, who was rebalanced. I'm not going to go into details on the rebalance itself. It's listed if you want to read through it. However, this rebalance has not done nothing to his pick rate or his use rate. That is something I can tell you. Same is the case with Constantine. Constantine has also been reworked, but it has not really brought up his use too much. He used to be used quite a bit along with his brother Vlad in many arena comps back in the day, but they've just been power crept into oblivion by now. So there are a lot of additional bug fixes, small bug fixes they do, with a lot of bug fixes that we don't even know were there. Nothing that stands out significantly. So I am actually going to move on to the fusion of the month. So the fusion this month was Esme the Dancer. Now, Esme is a really cool champion. A lot of people looked at her at first and then they were put off by her. And I understand there's been a lot of support fusions recently and you can get fatigued and it's okay to skip fusions. But I think, in my opinion, she has a pretty decent kit. I've actually plugged her into my Hydra team on brutal difficulty and she's actually doing wonders. She has an A1 in which she places increased attack on all allies. If she's the fastest on your team, that means that she is always going to be making sure that your nukers have the increased attack going into their turn. She has an A2 in which she places weaken and block buffs. Block buffs in general is very rare, and add weaken on top of it, it becomes a great skill. But she doesn't stop there. She also decreases turn meter. And if the pair champion Modo of the Peel is on the same team, she steals 20% turn meter instead, which is also great for using her in the arena. Her A3 provides increased accuracy, increased speed, both amazing buffs for the Hydra. But she also removes buffs from enemies. And if Modo's on the same team, she steals them. Great. And her passive is something that people actually downplay how good it is, especially this active effect. When she's hit, she increases the turn meter of the ally with the highest attack by 50%. We take turn meter boosters into the game in the arena who boost by 10% or 15%. She's boosting by 50% in a longer battle. She's going to be hit a lot, especially in the Hydra. She's going to be boosting your attack based damage dealer, the highest one, a lot. So she enables damage dealers even more, in addition to giving them increased attack. So I think she's a pretty good fusion. Now, combine that with the fact that she has 113 base speed. That's 2 speed less than the highest speed champion in the game. That is nuts. And then she has a pretty high defense and a relatively good HP stat as well. This was the fusion calendar. The fusion itself, it was a fragment fusion, and it was relatively easy to do. There were issues when it came to the first Dungeon Divers event because they put in quite a few fragments in there and they distributed it weirdly. And the point requirement was very high, in which the community was not happy about it. But on the plus side, it was only one Dungeon Divers event. I skipped half of that dungeon divers event. I only picked up the first five, and then I left it out because we also got later. For some reason, it's not shown here. We got the hero. No, it is shown here. We got the hero's path right here, and it had a lot of fragments. Is easily obtainable, which actually leads me to the path. So this was the path. The I think they called it the dancer's path, and it contained a lot of fragments for her, which was relatively easy to obtain. So you can collect five here, five here, and then in total 25 fragments. I picked up basically all of them. I did not go for the souls because the point requirements was quite high and I wanted to save resources. But some people might have picked that up. But having these fragments available was actually pretty nice. You could also pick up these relic mats to craft relics, and a lot of people I know they also got cat's gaze, for example, additional cat's gazes. I was not very lucky with that, but yeah, it was a good dancer's path event overall. And in addition to that, with the Dancer's Path event, on Valentine's Day, Plarium also gifted everybody a pretty nice small gift. I wouldn't even call it that small, considering that it gave a legendary tome and 4,500 coins for that event. 4,500 coins is what you get from spending a sacred shard, and the shards were pullable for that event. I know pulling a shard also gets you a crappy epic, but 4,500 points is 4,500 points. 3 Mortal Soul Stones is okay, you can look past it, but otherwise it was pretty decent. All right, the other thing that I wanted to bring up is there was a tournament towards the end of the month which had Queen of Hearts, who is one of the craziest champions that we've seen so far. She's also in the event dungeon, but she is a champion that was obtainable. Unluckily, unfortunately, I don't have her, but she was obtainable as the winning prize for the champion training tournament. A lot of people were vying for her. A lot of people were saving resources to snipe at the end. And what did Plarium do at the end? Yes, there was an unexpected technical issue right like an hour before the event was finished. And that led to frustration from a lot of players because they were not able to obtain this champion. They gave out compensation. I was one of those people who was actually logged in at that time. I was not going for her, but I also got this compensation, so can't complain. But a lot of people were quite upset. They did some calculations later as they list out over here, but I don't know if everybody who was vying for her was able to get her. So this was rather unfortunate towards the end of this event. With that said, let's jump into the Raid Digest. So, with the Raid Digest roundup, the first one was on the 7th of Feb, and they were talking about Hydra Quick Battles, which were recently introduced. And yeah, they basically were not getting the feedback as of this point, which is increasing the number of battles. But hopefully, they will look into that feedback a little bit later down the road. The aspect of Siroth Relic and its effect on turn manipulation. So this was again a small bug that they introduced, which they are reflecting about. Then there were a, a few question and answers that they introduced. For example, there's questions about which champions are chosen to rebalance. Why is it not done more frequently? And then they have their answer, which is a very diplomatic answer as per usual. But to be honest, in their position, I understand that. And again, yeah, as the other thing I said, why they don't do this more often. They're doing it every month by now, in every monthly update that they do. So which is actually a good sign, to be honest. And which skills to it's some similar question. And then they say that they look into which are basically will make them better. Again, a very nothing answer, but that's what it is. The second Raid Digest came in on the 21st of February, and there were some bug fixes. No longer possible to pick champions from the vault for live arena battles, which actually made a lot of community quite mad. So they're gonna bring this back because this was a little bit weird. They made changes to the rank systems when it comes to siege, which is there. And then a new champion that they introduced this month, he has had already some bugs which they are trying to fix. They are trying to slightly buff up Alice the Wanderer, Lamasu. They're talking about which is having a bug in itself. Lamasu is a champion I've recently picked up. Our clan finally was able to pick her up. She's actually a good champion, but her A3 is very unreliable when it comes to the targeting, which is why she can't go into like crazy fast dungeon speedruns or something. But she's a good champion nevertheless. And this, I think this bug still remains. So when you do a campaign battle and you sell an artifact that's there, it's sold, but the visually it still appears over there, which is something I hope that they can fix going into next month. And then I wanted to also look at a couple of. So there were quite a few champions released this month, but two champions that I want to look at in particular because they're just crazy. One of them was this guy, this dwarf, Fjored Wolfheart. He looks crazy good. This whole wolf skin and then this wooden stove at the back. This looks really cool. He's a mythical champion, the second mythical champion when it comes to the dwarves, and he has really insane kit, especially on his A2. One thing I want to highlight. So his passive is that he counterattacks whenever enemy increase the duration of any of the champion skills. So you go into an arena battle, a warlord or a Yumiko basically increases the cooldown of all your skills. He immediately counterattacks. What does he do with the counterattack? If he kills an enemy, he resets the cooldown of one of this champion's random skills. Normally, these champions who are putting these cooldowns, which are Yumiko or a warlord, they are pretty flimsily built. And he hits hard. So there's a good chance that he's going to kill them. And he's going to reset all the skills. So when he actually takes his turn, he's going to use crazy skills. 100% defense ignore skills when freeze is accompanied, which you can bring with Gurgo or with Torment, for example. It's a pretty good kit. Again, he's a mythical, so very difficult to obtain. I'll probably never get him. I'd love to get him because he is such a cool kit. And another dwarf champion that was released this month that I want to highlight is this guy, Arnon the Shining. He's a void Lego on the dwarves, and I have faced him a lot in live arena, and he's just crazy. One crazy thing on his kit is his passive effect. So when he's about to die, this is an effect. Similar effects exist in the game for a lot of other champions, but his is unique in a way because it brings stone skin on his passive. Can you believe that? He places stone skin buff on himself with his passive. And he survives, and you know what he does next? He uses this skill, which ignores 35% of the target's defense if they're under 2 more buffs, which is very likely the case in live arena. And he takes an extra turn if he kills an enemy, which is very frequent. I've faced him a lot, and I'm really scared of facing him. So he's a great champion. Another cool champion that was introduced this month is this champion who looks weird. For some reason, he does not look like he should belong in Raid Shadow Legends. What is this? This is a weird looking champion, but he has a great kit. He is used a lot in the Hydra, and my clanmates, for example, have been using him, and they all sing praises of him in the Hydra. So he has a debuff spread effect of defense down. He hits reasonably hard, and he debuff spread. Debuff spread is great in the Hydra, especially when it comes to the poison cloud. So if all the heads of poison cloud, one of them doesn't, you have HP burn or a block buffs on that particular champion. What you do is you debuff spread from that champion onto all of the other champions, and that's just insane. So that is in his kit, and then he also has an AoE attack which places increased accuracy and decreasing the duration of enemy boss by 2 turns. Places a decreased speed on them as well. Great kit for Hydra. And he's immune to all the crowd control debuffs. And whenever an enemy attempts to place one of these debuffs on this champion, he instantly activates Inducer of Panic, which is this skill. So instead of taking debuffs on himself of any crowd control, he puts decreased defense on the other champions or any other buffs that were that were there on those champions. Pretty insane kit, and he is really good in the Hydra. So these were the three champions that I wanted to talk about when it comes to the champions released this month. So normally now at this point I would do a Shard and Soulful of the month, but unfortunately there were not enough submissions and I didn't get the time to research clips on my own. But I did want to showcase one, which is from Kerrigan on my Discord server. So please guys join the Discord server. I'll leave a link in the description and leave clips and shard polls, soul polls of the month with me, and I can showcase them in next month's video. But this guy pulled a 6-star Carnage. I am so incredibly jealous because I have been wanting this for such a long time. My Carnage, unfortunately, has a total of how many red stars? Where are you, Carnage? That's right, 0. I've done the Curse City since I've obtained him at least 4 times fully. I've obtained 4 chests and not even a single star soul. So this guy obtaining a 6-star soul is pretty nuts. So congratulations to you, and yes, I am jealous. But with that said, that was the monthly roundup when it comes to what happened in the game when it comes to February 2025. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave comments if I missed out anything and or what I should improve in the next versions. Any things I can add on to these kind of videos. So thank you very much for watching and see you next time.